Okay, so this is the overview tab. And there's a lot of things you can do with this tab that I really like, especially when you're communicating with clients. So this just shows a rough overview of flow and campaign revenue. And so, I mean, there's a lot of stories that can be told here, especially when you're talking to clients every day. They kind of know what you're doing. This can be served as like as a high leverage touch point when you're communicating with clients. So like, if you notice, attributed revenue is only 9%. Well, that's because in the last 3 months, we changed from 5 day open click to I think 1 day click on the attributed window. So obviously, if we go to the month now, so like the longer you extend the time frame, the more you want to like zoom out, obviously, right? So now that we're looking at month over month over month views, I can now expand the time frame over since we did April through end of June. And so you can see that full revenue has started to dip. Coincidentally, the last few months, they've also been rebranding. These guys did like a total rebrand and they launched some new products as well. And so they had kicked down traffic. And so in my commentary, when I'm screenshotting this, I can say like, hey, flow revenue has dropped in proportion with the amount of traffic that's dropped as well. In addition, we changed the attribution window to more accurately reflect what revenue is really being attached to email, right? So just on this window alone here, or this view of flow revenue, you can start to piece together your summary when talking to clients. It doesn't necessarily have to be an individual flow message that's telling a story, like most people don't want to hear about that, but they want to hear kind of like what's going on in the account and how is it really back to like the top of funnel. And so you can see here with the campaign revenue recipients, if we go back down in time frame to a monthly view, then let's go week. We see that recipients have expanded, if you saw in those last few month over month, and then specifically in the middle of the month, we had our biggest, revenue driving event when we were sending our campaigns. And so where you want to go deep in your reporting, depending on what you're focusing on, this kind of can reveal that. If you want to talk about if you're doing flow optimizations, you can start here. If you are testing different types of campaigns or sending segments, you can start with campaigns and the KPIs there and the segment performance metrics there. In this case, we did some segment sending tests. And so recipients precipitously increased month over month. And during this month, we talked about men's sexual health awareness and men's health awareness. And in the middle of the month, especially, there were some very specific and pointed angles around men's sexual health, like, use this beetroot gummy to last longer in the bedroom. For whatever reason, that type of angle did really well, and you can see it here, and that's something noteworthy that we can comment on. You can see the flow KPIs as far as open click and RPR. It's all going to be variable, and these all kind of can paint different types of discussions as well. But you can use this tool to just say like, hey, this is how we did on the month. You can go to this daily view and you can see, even more data. So, in this scenario where we've been consistent with this client for a while, I'm going to use this monthly view, right? And so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to do a quick screenshot like that. I'm just using a snipping tool. Boom. Go to my Slack message here. We'll go to me. Okay. Paste that. And then I'm also going to go to this message template tool for June. Go to here. I just did left click, copy value. And we'll be invariably using this message template throughout these like trainings. And boom. Right here, we have like a high level summary. Revenue sent, campaign sent, revenue generated on campaigns, number of campaigns sent, average open click and RPR, and same thing for flow. And then you can go and say middle of the week performance on campaigns was highest due to men's sexual health awareness campaign XYZ doing the best. We'll double down on those angles next month. Okay. Attributed revenue has continued to drop and now middle out as our attribution window changed from 5 to 1 day. They see the 9% up there, 9% total revenue supported by consistent campaign sending volume and flow revenue has proportionately dropped with the amount of traffic, with the traffic reduction. Okay, so I could send that to a client and I could have done that update in, I mean, this video is 6 minutes long. This took less than 10 minutes. Okay, now if you want to dive deeper into campaigns, if I can like that. Okay, I can't send a bullet point, but boom, boom, boom. Okay, whoops. And then go flows. Segments. Right? We can start to piece together a story based on the above macro commentary, wherever the focus was this month. Okay, so even here, when they're diving in and looking at this, they're following along and seeing, some of these highlights, and it's very, very clear with them with this visual. They see total revenue, attributed revenue. They see the recipients on that white line of campaign like expanding. They see the flow revenue, kind of slowly reducing week over week with reduction in, recipients. And so, there's a lot of stories being told and they're digesting it unconsciously, consciously, visually, in addition to your like professional commentary. Another thing that you can say is notes, future actions, right? Boom. I mean, we haven't even talked about, campaign KPIs, flow KPIs, whatever KPIs you're internally setting, whether you're hitting it or not. Say you were targeting for 15% on that 1 day open click. Well, this is what we're going to do to, almost double, your flow attributed revenue. We're going to add these flows. We're going to increase, our campaign sending volume by 50% and see how that does. We're going to expand our sending segments. This is just the very start. And even really this, for some clients who are really small, this is already like really helpful because it's kind of hard unless they are being carried through that data. And they can be carried through the data now that it's organized visually for someone to digest. And then secondly, someone who's a professional who's able to kind of interpret the data and analyze it and paint the picture and the day-to-day actions that resulted in this, and your contextual view week over week, day over day, month over month, kind of like pieces together the story and lets them know that you're reporting effectively for them, analyzing the data, bobbing and weaving as things like come up, and just doing a good job, right? And like this is just the flow overview tab, and this might be just good enough for some clients, especially if they just want like a quick snap, high level, take, like, hey, how do we do this month? Okay, copy and paste these two values, snip the overview, and you're ready to rock, So there's a lot of good use cases for this. If you want to add in Google Slides or export this to PDF, you can do that. It's just great to identify something noteworthy, go high level on some wins. It's always good to talk about what's happening with the recipients on flows and campaigns. Depending on how you want to change the context, you then change the view, right? If you want to talk about how you did this month, how you've been doing the last 6 months, like, hey, since we started with you, we were able to achieve, XYZ factor in improvements, right? And you can like clearly show that, like, hey, what have you even done for us, right? So yeah, on micro and macro timeframes, you can really yeah, just like identify and analyze data effectively, and you can do it like very, very quickly on these these time frame like toggles. So don't be afraid to just like play around with this and see what data you can kind of come up with.